Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, I Read Black Books, where I talk about Black fantasy, horror, sci-fi, and supernatural books. In this video, I will be discussing some Black books with Underworlds and Dark Realms. This was a request I got on TikTok and did a short video on, but I wanted to do a longer video here to fully explain the complex and various worlds within each book and why I rate these books 10 out of 10. No spoilers, I promise. But before we start, please like this video and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Alright, let's get into it. Forging a Nightmare by Patricia A. Jackson was the first book that came to my mind. And honestly, I've been waiting for a reason to talk about this book. I knew from the moment I finished this book back in August that it was a top tier read for me, of the year and of all time. The best way I can describe this book is if you take the TV show Supernatural and mix it with the show New York Undercover. If you know, you know. The main character is a black FBI agent whose personality is a little Dean Winchester, but with Sam's intelligence and nerdiness. But his looks and his street smarts and his swag are very much Malik Yoba and Detective Eddie. So he's a standard FBI agent, but also a super nerd. He's literally at a Renaissance festival on his day off, fully dressed in costume, when he gets pulled into this case where a suspect is unaliving people born with 12 fingers and toes. In occult circles, these individuals are known as Nephilim, and I won't spoil it for you, but if you know what Nephilim are, then you know how they came to be. So somebody is unaliving them, and our FBI agent finds himself on the case and in the middle of something that he always believed as myth. This book just pulls you in immediately. You will become so invested in this story from the first few sentences. And the author does an excellent job of world building without over explaining or bombarding you with details all at once. She does it so strategically and tastefully throughout the first few chapters, and it's not overwhelming. It just melts into the storyline like butter, and the story itself just flows. No filler, no fluff. The pacing is fast, but it's that good fast where the story is fully fleshed out but doesn't drag. This book is absolutely perfect, but please check the content warnings because the subject matter can be a little triggering. Canopy Keepers by Veronica G. Henry is book one of the Scorched Earth series. This is a book and author that I do not see talked about enough. Every book that Veronica G. Henry puts out is an absolute banger, and I recommend one of her books in about 90% of my videos. Her perspective is so unique and original, and it's something that this new wave of Black fantasy is desperately needing, in my opinion. In this book series, a Black female firefighter chief with a traumatic past discovers an ancient world beneath the Sequoia National Forest in California. This society is on the brink of war amongst themselves and against the humans above because humanity is quickly destroying the very nature that this society has been protecting since the beginning of time, which are the trees. One side wants to resolve the issue peacefully while the other is ready to take humanity completely out. So while the fire chief is learning about all of this and the history of the society, she also finds out that someone she thought was lost to her a long time ago has been living in this underworld the whole time and is actually the main leader of the rebellion against humanity. So she's dealing with all this in addition to her life on the top side and has to decide where her priorities and alliances lie. What I love about this book is how thorough it is. All questions that come up are answered. Veronica does an excellent job researching and explaining nature and wildfires and firefighter life in general. I love books that I can learn from and be entertained by at the same time. While this book definitely skirts the speculative fiction slash fantasy line, you can definitely feel the author's passion for the conservation of this planet. And the things we are doing to destroy this planet is not fiction, as we really see in this book. This book it just feels so real. And Veronica G. Henry is always going to give us a beautiful cover, as you can definitely see in book two, A Breathless Sky. The Ballad of Black Tom is less than 150 pages long, but it's such a complex and detail-rich story that you think you're reading a full-length 300-page novel. And that's one of the things I love about this book. Just tell me a story, no fillers, no fluff. Take me from point A to point B, and that's exactly what Victor Laval does in The Ballad of Black Tom. This book left me wanting more, but in a good way. This is one of those books that you'll want to read multiple times. It's about a musician slash hustler named Charles, aka Tom, who is struggling to provide for himself. And this book takes place in Harlem, New York during the Jazz Age. So Charles, aka Tom, who's black, one day accepts a job from a wealthy white man, and the job is to deliver a mysterious book to a woman in Queens. But somehow things happen, which leads to Charles, aka Tom, opening up a portal to an underworld. And in this dark realm of magic is a sleeping storm that, if awakened, will swallow the entire world. I know this is very vague, but this is one of those books that you just have to read in order to understand. But it can totally be read in one sitting, and I promise you'll thank me later. Next is a series that I first discovered with Kindle Unlimited, and it's called the Warrior Slave Novel Series by L.L. Farmer. I know it's called the Warrior Slave Novel Series, but I promise you it's not what you think. Again, this is a book series that is free to read on Kindle. And so we're on book 6 of this book right now, and I'm hoping Latasha will bless us with book 7 next month. Fingers crossed. So the Warrior Slave Novel Series, which I think should be called the Demon Huntress series, follows Nima. Nima was 18 years old, living as a slave in New York City when she was cursed with immortality and becoming the next demon hunter. I know that's very vague, but I can't say more without spoiling it. And here's the thing, we don't really find out what or why that happens to her until like book 3. This book goes over a lot of backstory across the books, but it's good, I promise. Anyway, she becomes the demon hunter, learns everything about the demon world, and 300 years later, she's living in the present time, still 18 per se, still fighting demons and living a semi-normal life until recent unalivings start bringing up things and people from her past. And that's one of the things that make it kind of hard to keep up with this book series, but I love the challenge and that feeling when the dots connect, like, oh yeah, that was the demon from what you call it, or yeah, that was her boo thing from New Orleans, stuff like that. So I'm always looking forward to the next book and anticipating what's going to happen next. And LL Farmer never disappoints. I love this series so much. Nowadays, when you hear the term book series, you think maybe 3, 4, 5 books max, right? Well, let me tell you about this 12, yes, 12, 1, 2 classic book series here. The Vampire Huntress Legend series by L.A. Banks is my standard for the term book series and my standard for all black vampire books because, baby, if you know, you know. And I always get comments from the ones who do know when I post about this series on my other socials. L.A. Banks passed on in 2011, but this series and her other works live on forever, at least in my heart. The series follows Damali Richards, a rap artist and chosen vampire slash demon huntress. She and her guardian team slash band perform all over the world and secretly fight evil and darkness simultaneously. Now, rogue vampires have been unaliving artists of her record label and on her rival record company, Blood Music. And when a strange recreational toxin erupts in the club scene, Damali realizes these unalivings and rogue vampires are part of a bigger, more evil plan administered by the most powerful vampire she has ever met. And this is just book 1. The series just explodes from there. The series has everything from suspense, thrill, horror, romance, lots of romance, battles, drama, everything. If you are looking for a way to escape reality for a little bit, try this series and thank me later. So that was my list of Black fiction books with Underworlds and Realms. If I missed any or if you have any suggestions of ones that you liked, please let me know in the comments. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to my channel. And as always, thank you so much for watching.